Welcome back to another episode of the Lockdown Lowdown. This is the vlog series where we talk to SMMEs and hear how they're doing with the South African lockdown. Today we are joined with the Commercial Director and the host of the highly successful vlog series on the edge of tech, Dean Irwin from Edgetec. Thank you for being on the Lockdown Lowdown, Dean.
Angus, thank you for having me. Good to be here.
Pleasure. I just want to say this is by far the best background we've had on the show thus far. You are definitely pulling out all the stops for this interview. So I have to say that's a beautiful arrangement behind you.
Oh, thanks. Does that mean we can cut it and it's done and I've won?
You're not. If it is a competition, you're in the lead by far. So I hope all future guests are going to up their wall game going into these episodes. I don't know if everyone's noticed, but I've had a few changes of scenery based on Wi-Fi strength. So hopefully this will be it. If anyone has any tips or recommendations, or maybe you do, Dean, how can I improve this background? I would appreciate it.
Great job. I'm enjoying I'm enjoying the diversity.
Yeah, it's a mixture of things right now.
Yeah.
So Dean, thanks so much for being with us. Can you give us a little introduction to Edgetec and what it does, what is groundbreaking about it, and your guys' USP for everyone watching?
Yeah, sure. Look, Edgetec itself has been around for about 23 years now, if my math serves me correctly, since 1997. And what we do, we're a technology company, and we really help clients address their business needs through technology. So it's really understanding what is a customer's or what is a client's business requirement, and then understanding how to tie in the right technology to address those business challenges that they have. In terms of USP, our sort of unique selling point, I would say, is our services offerings. Our services offerings are definitely tailor-made around each and every client's requirement. So we go through a consultation process. It's not so much a checklist or sort of as in you're going into you're having a discussion where you just touching on certain things. It's very much understanding what those business requirements are, how do we address those business requirements, and then tailor our services around those requirements. So no two customers are the same, no two environments are the same. So it's really about unique service offerings to our customers.
I think in the decade of digital, that is completely necessary because no two businesses share the same brushstroke, and they shouldn't, because they're all trying to be unique. So I think that in itself, like being able to give them a solution that is completely unique to their situation, that's phenomenal. How have you guys seen that? Obviously, you said you've been around for a number of years. How have you seen that in a competitive space? Are you seeing more businesses come up trying to do and implement what you guys do?
Absolutely. I think, it shifted in a way where we saw outsourcing. A few years ago, there was obviously a very, very strong uptake in the technology environment around outsourcing. I think that's just really evolved over time, and especially with all the tools that one has at their disposal nowadays to be able to do things remotely. And I think it's particularly relevant in where we are at this particular point in time, being in lockdown, not being able to sort of access systems physically, not being able to assist users physically, but everything being done remotely. And I think that's essentially where we've seen a lot of the services uptake and the services offerings tailored around being able to do things remotely and service their customers from remote locations.
Well, I think then you guys are way ahead of the curve with your solution package and your attention to customer satisfaction. Just upon researching before this, I think that was one thing that I've noticed around Edgetec as a whole is your attention to the customer and solving their problems in a personable manner, which just ties back to what you were just saying earlier. Talking about your goals and objectives as Edgetec, what were they going into 2020?
Yeah, I think, since we're talking about services, definitely to look at refining our services offerings. The environments are constantly changing, customers' needs are constantly changing. So essentially in the beginning of the year, we sat down and we said, well, let's refine our service offerings as best that we can. And let's make sure that we're all on the same page and that our go-to-market strategy is aligned with sort of all the stakeholders in the business. So that's sort of essentially was the starting point.
Yeah.
Growing market share. I think that hasn't changed. Twofold. One is with existing clients is how do we take further offerings to existing clients? How do we assist our existing clients
build onto that
with new service offerings? And then, from a client acquisition point of view as well, new client acquisition. How do we acquire new customers in this market, which is challenging to say the least, but it's definitely part of our market strategy. Further than sort of our objectives, I don't think they've changed much. Perhaps maybe in terms of how we achieve those objectives may have changed, may have evolved a little bit, and just around using new tools to do so. Digital is a perfect example for that. Although we've had a digital strategy for a long time, we certainly have seen an uptake in new tools to be able to achieve those goals. And then, really, I think we've also seen that our clients, I think we've proven that our clients can see that we continue to be proactive and adaptive in these times while
you have to
continuing to deliver services. Yeah,
and that's it.
So it's been a good experience. I must be honest. Yes, the goals and objectives, they certainly haven't changed. Maybe how we achieve those may have changed slightly, but I think it's kind of like that old saying where you say you set your goals in stone, but your plans in sand.
I like that.
That's exactly what we've done.
That's very cool. It's almost, I think, with and leading on to the next question, the impact of coronavirus on your business is, it's like your goals have stayed the same, but the sport is now different. You still got to score, but the means of the rules have got to adapt. And I think you guys have been positioned for the advent and the necessity of working remotely through digital means, using these tools to assist anyone in anywhere. We were talking about it before we started, is, when you have a client that may be in another location, it's an hour to drive there, an hour to have the meeting, an hour to come back. You now can assist in real time within that 40 minutes. And instead of having to waste time driving, you can now act on the meeting immediately. So now the value in which you guys can offer to your customer it's multiplied now because you're saving time.
Absolutely. So I think, if I look at, I wouldn't even really call it an impact, but if I look at just some of the gains, productivity is certainly one of those gains. We've seen sort of productivity levels increase. We're just able to get far more out of our day. And we've used this time as proactively as we possibly can to achieve as much as we can. So we have seen some, the adoption of new tools and if you want to, we've been doing webinars, WebEx using Teams, all these sorts of things. But I think it's been positive this far. I'm not sure how much longer we're going to go on for, but I think it's kind of one of those things where you just need to make the best of 100%. The current situation, and that's what we do.
And I'm glad to see that. I'm glad companies of your guys' stature is taking this challenge head on and going with it fully. And with that said, how are you guys finding ways to market Edgetec and stay top of mind during this time? Obviously, we know that you have the On the Edge of Tech vlog series, which I must say, I'm maybe not the biggest techie, but I do enjoy watching them. So what have you guys been doing?
I think in a way, much of the same. We're definitely an advocate of digital marketing, and the majority of all of our marketing activities are digital.
Yeah.
So in that sense, definitely much of the same. However, sort of kind of back to what I was saying earlier, definitely using new tools and methods to help our clients during this time through education. So although it's not seen as a direct marketing tool, we're seen as an opportunity to educate our customers around new products and services that we're offering. So we're setting up WebEx events where customers can join, and we try and keep them short and sweet to about 30 minutes, and it's 30 minutes with Edgetec, and then we'll really just try and educate our customers. New customers are welcome to join on those WebEx sessions as well. So that's essentially been probably the biggest
driver
from our marketing,
Yeah.
from a marketing point of view, around digital marketing. I think education is another one around coronavirus as well. I think, but there's a very, very fine line, because obviously initially customers were required to create some awareness on their website, on the
Yes,
front
yeah.
page around the coronavirus, and that we did that as soon as we heard about that. But I think that from the actually just lost my train of thought.
Well, I
now.
think, just from listening to you, Dean, it's that added value that you guys have invested in delivering. So going beyond just saying, these are the new service offerings you have, you're actually wanting to educate people the best way possible on using these tools effectively and efficiently to, transform their working environment, which I think a lot of businesses now who maybe weren't on the forefront of digital means it's almost been like they've had to jump into the deep end of having to use these tools, which maybe Edgetec and DarkMatter were very familiar with, but now the future of business is digital, and that maybe leads me to my next question. How do you foresee business changing across the world? What is the new normal for you?
I think so. Supply chain, I think, has been heavily impacted from businesses all around South Africa during this time. So supply chain, I think, in terms of the new normal, there are a few things. Starting with supply chain, I think people are going to try and understand how they can procure more locally, or at least be able to, sort of make use of local suppliers, and rather than just being completely reliant on, sort of having to import. I also feel like supplier resilience may even become a buzzword. People are going
heard it here first.
Absolutely. And then I think, sort of this crisis has definitely propelled new technology across all aspects of life.
Definitely.
So from online shopping to remote working, e-learning,
telemedicine.
Here we go. So new working and shopping practices. I think so. That's probably something that will become maybe more of a more of a permanent fixture in terms of how we shop and how we work. From our business point of view, I would say that I foresee a rapid adoption in cloud services. So, we've already been having discussions around this.
Yes.
And this includes providing things like remote support to clients, like what we were speaking about earlier, hosting client environments. These are things that we've been doing for quite some time, but I definitely foresee a very steep uptake in these types of services going forward. So that's essentially what I see as the new normal.
Well, for everyone listening that needs cloud-based solutions, Dean is your man, and Edgetec will be happy to assist in applying that customer satisfaction in this new decade of digital.
100%.
Yeah, being forced into this, like being pushed into the deep end of the new normal, I think is maybe sometimes the best way to learn how to swim in it. So I know that you guys are already very much floating and doing laps, so to speak, in this pool. So I just hope for other businesses, other SMMEs that are listening, there are solutions that can assist during these times. So we've discussed this at length, and I think we have a pretty good understanding of where you stand with Edgetec and the coronavirus and its impact. Maybe some more personal questions for you. What is your most essential item you have currently at home, just so to help you get through this self-isolation?
Yeah, there's probably a few, but I think we've spoken about this a number of times, myself and my fiance. Is basically, just before we went into lockdown, we keen runners, so we enjoy going running in the morning before work and on weekends.
Yeah,
just really trying to stay healthy and active. And during that anxiety phase of going into lockdown, what are we going to do? I went and bought the treadmill. So
okay.
Put it in the spare room. And it's kind of like the hamster wheel, and it's most certainly been, it's been a bit of a saving grace. I think it keeps us both sane, and just gives us an opportunity to burn off sort of some of that energy.
Yeah, and also that anxiety.
The treadmill without a doubt. Yeah. So we've already been discussing if there's a break, where we're able to go and purchase something else, what would it be? And we've been saying bicycle or stationary bicycle or anything like that, because it's just been that valuable to us.
Yeah, I can imagine the need to exercise, to just exhaust yourself, except like not mentally but physically, to take a break from your mental hold that you have during lockdown. I think it is so necessary. I personally, I kind of fell out of my fitness regime due to lockdown. So I need to just kind of trigger that back into my mind and get active. I've seen some really funny videos online of people putting dishwashing liquid on the floor of the tiles and then putting some water and then running as if they're on a treadmill. So if you can't afford a treadmill, there is an alternative option brought to you by the impressive internet.
I think a far more dangerous option.
Yes, definitely. I mean, if you want fun and games, then that is the option. Yeah, I think it is a good investment, especially if it's something that you're passionate about as a runner, wanting to tick over those miles and get those rewards still. Essentially, I think that's a great thing, but it can't ever replace the need or the adventure that you go on when you do go for a run around a city, around your neighborhood, just to see new things. So I'm sure when the lockdown is done, you'll probably put on those shoes and go for a long run with your fiance.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Hopefully tonight we'll deliver that news.
Yeah, hopefully after a speech you go running outside the gate.
Yeah.
And just, we've spoken at length, obviously, about remote working, cloud-based solutions, digifying your workforce. If you had to talk at a TED Talk outside of your realm of your work, what is it that you would discuss and share with the world?
It's a very interesting question. And obviously, I read through some of the questions that you had sent through, and I saw that was potentially one that you would ask. But I think that I've always been an advocate of the universal laws of gratitude. And I'm very much a strong believer of whatever you put out into the universe, sort of it comes back at you. And I think just sort of with a bit of a spiritual well-being that I have, it definitely be something around the universal laws of gratitude.
Well, on that note, I thank you immensely for being on the Lockdown Lowdown with us, and just taking the time during this time to share your thoughts as well as Edgetec's standpoint currently in this very abnormal state of the world, effectively.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate you coming here and sharing what you shared with us, and I hope everyone listening and watching now knows about Dean and Edgetec, and yeah, it's the future of work, and they're happy to assist and deliver on the customer satisfaction that's been their core pillar since they started.
I appreciate it, Angus. Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for affording me the opportunity to be part of this initiative that you have going. I think it's really important for businesses to collaborate more and more at this particular point in time. I think it's important for people to focus on showing solidarity. It's not just about profits. It's not about greed at the moment. It's we're in uncharted territory at the moment, and we need to fight against unemployment, and doing that by just being responsible as business. Trying to look at other ways that we can reduce costs instead of just quickly trying to retrench people.
Yeah.
And I think this is where it's about being responsible at this point in time, paying your suppliers where you can, as opposed to trying to just force majeure. So when you asked me to if I would be part of this initiative, I was too happy to be part of it as another opportunity to collaborate with another business. And going back to what I was saying earlier, where I lost my train of thought.
Yes.
But it was really about sort of the content that we deliver at the moment, and making sure that it's completely relevant to our audience and to customers out there. Coronavirus, there's so much news and there's so much information around that it's actually almost become overwhelming. It's important that we know it's important that we know what it is and what we can do for certain preventions and so forth. But in terms of content, I actually I joined a Gibbs webinar the other day where they were talking about digital marketing.
Brilliant.
And there were 1,000 people on that webinar, which is absolutely incredible. 1,000 people on a webinar.
That's crazy.
And basically what they were saying is that, from research that they'd said, is people are a little bit overwhelmed with all corona news. And what people really want to know about right now is employee wellness. They want to know about financial freedom, employee and employee wellness. And those are two really important topics. And that's essentially what we're trying to do, is how do we present our information that to our audience that is relevant to them, rather than just about what we think is relevant to them. The other thing, talking about solidarity, I must be honest, one of the campaigns that has stuck out for me recently from a digital point of view is the ShopRite Checkers campaign, where they've partnered up with OK, they've partnered with...
Yes, I saw that, yeah, with the graphic, and they used all their logos.
100%. And showing gratitude to the frontline workers, and that is coming together, that's collaboration at its best. Huge organizations in South Africa, and really standing for what's right, and that is showing gratitude to the frontline workers that are putting themselves on the front line every day. So that's kind of sort of just really, I wanted to just make mention of that as well.
No, and I appreciate you saying that, because it definitely aligns with how many people are looking at this whole situation, and it's come back down to how people are still at the forefront of it all. As much as it's big corporates and big companies, it's the people that create the value that we as customers get, and we can't exclude them from this whole puzzle piece. Because as much as it is, the Checkers or the Woolworths or the OKs or Spars, whatever the case is, you need to identify that it's the people that are there serving you, that are risking their day to day because they've still got families that they have to support. and making sure that our economy or our society still kind of functions in some sort of normal way. And that can't be understated. So I really appreciate you mentioning that and coming back to that point, because I know it's a very key element of what this Lockdown Lowdown is, really. Getting those stories and those opinions out to hear how it runs as the golden thread across everything that we are seeing and doing. I mean, especially as a marketing man and working for a digital marketing agency, we want to output content that is so relevant that aligns with the audience's well-being at this point in time. Like you're saying with Gibbs, like identifying those 2 focus points. That's what any company should be outputting now, is something that is so relevant to your audience that they can't turn off, they can't turn it away. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
So guys, that was it for this episode of the Lockdown Lowdown. Dean is currently the winner of the best wall. So I'm asking everyone coming on beyond this to spruce it up. I will also do so, because I feel like I'm not even in the competition right now. But once again, thank you, Dean, for being on the Lockdown Lowdown, and we look forward to chatting to you in the future.
Angus, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Cheers, guys.